Trenton 365 with Jacque Howard. Profiling the businesses, organizations, and people that make Trenton better.
Hello, friends, and welcome to the Trenton 365 show, happening every Tuesday night from approximately 8 to 9 p.m. here in New Jersey's oldest radio station, WIMG 1300, the four-time nominated Stellar Gospel Awards station. You can follow me on Facebook, Trenton 365 Show, also on Twitter and Instagram at Trenton 365. You can post your events to the Trenton 365 community calendar page on Facebook, and the website is trenton365.com. Over WIMG 1300, you can follow us on all social media outlets, WIMG 1300. And if you're watching, it's over WPHY, covering Mercer County, New Jersey, through the Verizon network. So we got a lot of information to get to you in segment one. I am super stoked to have a living legend in my presence. Oh my. I've got the Duchess, Doris Spears, who is in the house. You're welcome. We've got a bunch of things we're going to talk about, but I want to make sure that everyone understands. Doris is going to be performing in Trenton, New Jersey, this coming Thursday at the Levitt Amp Summer Concert Series. You can find out all the information and the details by going to the website, levitamp/Trenton, levitamp.org/Trenton, my apologies. Or you can search Destination Trenton, and this is with the Trenton Downtown Association putting this on. So without any further ado, the lovely and extremely talented Duchess Doris Spears, welcome to the Trenton 365 show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure. I always like to have my guests, for the people who don't know who they are, just share a little bit about who they are as a person, and then we're going to jump right into talking about your craft as a musician.
Okay, I'm originally from the Midwest. I grew up in Gary, Indiana, and Chicago, Illinois. I went to school there. I got most of my early jazz experience with a lot of real legends like Vaughn Freeman and George Freeman and his brother Lefty Bates, Bill Mayburn. Did I say Lefty Bates?
Yes, you did.
Okay, Lefty Bates. There was a very fertile jazz. I'm sorry, I'm at a loss for words. The Midwest, okay, because of its proximity to Kansas City and Chicago, was always very popular for jazz and for blues. The black people, including my family, who came up that way in the Great Migration from down south, settled in that area and helped give it a name for one of the top jazz and blues places in the United States.
So I know that you've been performing for decades, and your name is synonymous.
Decades.
Well, it's really synonymous with like a certain quality, and you're well recognized. And do you think that when you were in the Midwest, in the Chicago and Gary, Indiana area, do you think that was just a fertile ground for you to learn about who you were, or do you think that you always had this gift in you of music?
I think it was a little of both, actually. Jacque, I knew I was always talented. I always heard great music. Great music was the backdrop of everything, whether we were celebrating, whether there was card playing, whether there was church discussions, music was always there of the legends. So when you listen to people who are great, then that's sort of like your teacher in terms of what you listen for. Now, I think that, and when I say that they both mattered, I think because it happened to be happening there, it was very easy for me to just walk into the ferment and be welcomed, because I was young, I was enthusiastic, I loved the music, and that was rather unusual. You know, I wasn't into rock and roll or R&B or anything like that, so for a long time I was like just really very special and was treated very special by all of the adults and the masters that were older than me and wanted someone to carry on the legacy.
And I would say that you have done that indeed. Most recently, I saw you perform at an event that I was a part of over at Champs, when you performed,
Yes.
with a full accompaniment of
Yes.
of background singers,
Yes.
and also a
Yes.
full band, and it was well received. And when you hear people, exclaim how great someone is, and you have in your mind, okay, well, I want to see for myself, and. In doing what I do, I get a chance to meet and see a lot of amazing people and a lot of amazing talent, and I was very impressed and not surprised. I don't think that's the right word. My expectations were exceeded with what you've done, and you're welcome.
you.
And also the diversity of the group that you had assembled, and I think that speaks a bit towards you growing up in the Midwest and also the cultural diversity that's here in Trenton as well.
Yes.
I do want to jump around a little bit.
Sure.
And talk about the social justice perspective of what you do with your craft.
How did you know that was where I am in this right now? How did you know that?
Well, I mean, with some of the conversations that we had, I really do consider myself a very specific, active listener. Like, I really pay attention to what people say. And
it's very important to me.
Sure, yeah. So just to kind of frame this a little bit, the importance of social justice, but also being a musician or an artist, and using that medium because it casts a wide net, and the importance of doing that. Can you just share a bit about that?
Well, previously I had recorded 2 straight-ahead jazz CDs. I was on another prominent musician's CD, and I also did a straight-ahead blues CD, purely for the music mostly. There were covers of songs. The last CD that I did speaks to how music can be used, especially if you're a writer. And I'm a writer. I write songs and I write poetry. I play a little bit of guitar. I also play the piano. That allows me to make some statements about social justice and injustice. Not that I think it will significantly change things, but at least it deserves, in this day and age where everything is instant gratification and short attention span, it will help some light be shown on some things that are very important. So this last CD that I did, Horology, was a nod to that, because it speaks of gender inequality and femininity and things related to that whole concept.
And I really appreciate the opportunity to sit down and chat with people when they're candid and they're revealing things, and that's something that I take very seriously, and I appreciate that. That's an honor and respectful thing that I have for people who do that. When you had read at that event at Champs, I guess it was about last year about this time, maybe a little earlier. You had read some poetry as well, and the poetry that you read, it was very revealing, and it had a lot of emotion in it. Can you just share about your writing style, and is all your poetry generally in that vein, like a lot of self-expression and revealing?
Yes and no. It depends more or less on the subject and how close I am to it in terms of my own personal experience, or whether or not I've been in situations with other people who have gone through whatever it is that I'm writing about, whether it be physical abuse or rape, or being evicted, being homeless, not being properly educated. When I'm writing poetry, I run the gamut from poems that rhyme or that are very simple and simplistic, and what they talk about. It could be about the rain, it could be about a season, it could be about just letting the time fly, with just dealing with the thoughts that come across your head like clouds. Other times it can be abstract and non-rhyming, and the emphasis isn't particularly on the meter or anything like that, but it can be about love, it can be about sex, it could be about intimacy, and just how those things affect all your senses and change you for good or bad.
You know, when we first met in person, that was one of the things that I pulled from meeting you, was that you seem very in tune in lots of different areas. Like, you seem very intuitive about what's going on physically, but also spiritually, mentally, etc. Like, pulling these different things together. When you think back to your childhood, do you think that your childhood had anything to do with it, or is this like a skill that you've honed over the years?
Well, I think my childhood and other experiences had a lot to do with it. My family were sharecroppers who came up through the Great Migration. And so they were very close to slavery, and through being mistreated, by the system that was in place at the time. And many times when they came up with their children, they had habits that they couldn't explain in the way that they reared their kids and the values that they had, or the different thoughts that they had. And that was one of the reasons why, with sharecroppers especially, and poor people, religion was so important, because they had to find a way to cope with things that they couldn't voice, and things that they had experienced that were just stuck there in their maw, and there was nothing that they could do about it. So that, and my experience, I'm well traveled. I love to travel. Cross culturally. I love to cook cross culturally. Scandinavia is probably one of my favorite places to go in the world, because of their system of social democracy. People say, "Oh, it's so expensive to live in those places," and it is, but look at what you get. Whereas here we have this kind of ragamuffin mentality when it comes to the people on the lower levels that different forces cause them to be assigned to, and many of them can never get out. Many of them just never experience any modicum of what it feels like to be cared for in their country, and to be loved in their country, and to have that value where they can go out into the world and find it easy to love and accept other people. So I like places in the world that are like that. I think we have a lot in this country to learn from that if we wanted to, but I don't think that we want to, because of various factors.
And I like how you towed that line. I want to encourage you and to give you kudos as an artist to continue to push the boundaries, to take things right up to that line and maybe go beyond it. I think that art in general, mainly performing art, has gotten to the point where it's become a vehicle for success, a monetary success, but not necessarily the cultural progression coming from, and I'm going to say music. We were just talking earlier about some genres of music where it's 5 words repeated over and over again. That's enough to make someone very wealthy and very famous. But what is that necessarily doing to the culture? And is it paying homage to the artists and the people and the life that allowed this artist to get to that point, number one? And then at the same time...
And others.
Yes. What is that doing for the young people who are here now, who are looking for those things? Years ago, we could get it from the music that we listen to. And I don't know if that's necessarily so much that's happening now. We're going to continue talking about that, because I really want to get your perspective. We're up on a break, and you're listening and watching the Trenton 365 show. Tonight, my guest in the first segment is the Duchess. Doris Spears. So we're going to be talking about her performance that's coming up this Thursday, which is July 5th, and that's going to be taking place at the Mill Hill Park if the weather is good. If not, we'll be inside at the War Memorial Building in the George Washington Ballroom. She'll be performing for the Levitt Amp Trenton Summer Concert Series, and she'll be the opening act, and we'll be getting into that a little bit more later. You're listening and watching the Trenton 365 show. We'll be back after a moment. Doing great. Yeah.
The 25th season of Trenton Thunder Baseball is here. Join us for affordable family fun all summer long at Arm & Hammer Park. Tuesday nights are Super Value Tuesdays with $1 hot dogs. Friday nights will feature Pork Roll Fridays as the Thunder become the Thunder Pork Roll. Post-game fireworks follow the game every Thursday and Saturday night throughout the summer. Create a lifetime of memories at the Trenton Thunder. It all starts at TrentonThunder.com.
I'm not much of a dancer. Never have been. Not at weddings, not at concerts, not even when my favorite song is on the radio. But there's something about seeing exactly what I ordered arrive at my facility's door the day after I ordered it. That gets my foot a-tapping. That's why I love Grainger. With 99% of in-stock items shipping the same day they're ordered, they get us what we need when we need it. Which means we keep moving and I keep grooving. Call clickgrainger.com or stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
And welcome back to the Trenton 365 show. You can send me an email, Trenton, the numbers 365, and the word show at gmail.com. Trenton365show@gmail.com. The archives of this interview and others are available on the website, Trenton365.com. I've got the Duchess, Doris Spears, in the studio in the first segment. In the next 15 minutes or so, we're going to be talking more about her music. She's been giving us an overall summary of her background, and we've been touching on some things that are at the forefront of what's going on, I'll say globally, and that's social justice. There's more people who are concerned about the plight of not only themselves, but also other human beings. So Doris has a CD out called R.E.A.C.H, and it's spelled just like it sounds, and we can get that on your website, DorisSpears.com.
Actually, it's Jazz Duchess Doris Spears.
Jazz Duchess Doris Spears.
Spears.com.
All right. So make sure I get that right. And again, folks, all the links will be up on the Trenton 365 website, and you'll be able to click right on them and take you to her website where you can learn more about her and also make a purchase or two, which is also how we continue to have these things going. You've got to invest in the artists and the talent, etc. Pay the artists.
Indeed.
Pay the artists. So earlier, we were talking about social democracy, social justice, etc., and your CD Horology. I'm going to go back a bit and say, where did the name the Duchess come from, and who gave it to you, and etc.?
You're familiar with the cornetist and trumpeter Clark Terry?
No.
Okay. Clark Terry is probably in the same age bracket now as Quincy Jones. He and Miles Davis would probably be about the same age if Miles were alive now. I think he's probably in his 80s, and he's still playing. If you weren't looking at his face when he was playing, you would think that he was about 30 years old.
Oh, wow.
He's one of those types of legends.
Mm-hmm.
And I was performing at Trumpets Jazz Club in Montclair, New Jersey, back in the 90s. And the Trumpets was a very hot club at the time, along with Shanghai Jazz. And he came in, and the stage was open for a session, and it was him and Al Gray, I think, was there, another incredible jazz legendary musician. I think he's passed away. Anyway, it was about 8 of these fellows up on the stage, and I asked if I could come up and sit in, and at that time I think my demeanor was probably shy and quiet. I may have given that impression. Yes, in fact, I did. That's what he told me. And then when I got done singing, he says, gosh, okay, so let's see. We have a Countess of the Blues. We have a Queen of the Blues. So let's see. I guess you must be the Duchess then.
Nice.
You know, of jazz. And I liked it, and I just kept it, and that's been it ever since.
Right.
Yeah.
What are some of your influences? And I want you to think about it a little bit because, over the years, I'm sure, our favorites come and go. But what artists or what particular music just like sticks with you?
Well, I loved Nancy Wilson because when I was coming up, she not only did just the straight-ahead jazz standards, but she also devoted albums to the Great American Songbook, all the writers of Tin Pan Alley at that time from Broadway. She did some blues things. She was just doing everything. And she was a little bit different than Sarah. She had a lovely voice, a beautiful timbre. That operatic thing that you sometimes hear in the great Sarah Vaughan's singing. Nancy didn't have that, but she had something very different that was just as powerful. So I listened to a lot of her records. My mother had a lot of her records. She had a lot of records by Dinah Washington, Big Maybelle, and I also liked Arthur Prysock. Even though, he was a man, obviously, I still liked how he handled a phrase and his timing. And Jimmy Witherspoon with the blues. We heard a lot of Howlin' Wolf and John Lee Hooker and all of these blues greats. My father loved blues, my mother loved jazz. That may have been the other way around, but anyway, I heard all this great music, and I think that it influenced me, all of it. I think for many years people would say to me, oh, if I wasn't looking at you, you'd sound just like Nancy Wilson. And that was quite a compliment because everybody wanted to sound like Nancy Wilson. I didn't particularly want to sound like her, but our voices were similar. So, and then she had beautiful phrasing, and I've always loved beautiful phrasing no matter what you're singing. She knew how to do that well. So I took some of that from her. And when I compared it to how everyone else phrased and what I thought was really musically and vocally important for a singer, she seemed to win hands down for me. Yeah, I love Dionne Warwick for R&B. And for a moment, when I was with the garage bands and the top 20 bands, I did a lot of her music because it was so simple to do. And also our ranges were sort of similar.
So what do you have coming up next?
After the Levitt Amp?
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the Sanctuary?
Yeah,
the church
1862 or whatever?
1867 Sanctuary, okay. Yes. So I've been working there on and off for the past year. So I'm going in there probably the third week in July with a band that will be sort of close to the one that I had at Champs, except there won't be any backup singers. But we'll be doing some of that music. It'll be anchored with guitar instead of piano.
Okay.
And there'll be a bass player and a drummer. I have a few dates there. And have you heard of Jazz on Broad in Hopewell? Yeah. Okay, it's a place that's taking off and being very hot. We're in the process. I just have to decide what dates I'm going to do. They've told me that it's pretty much open. I can do whatever I want. So that'll be in the fall. And then they'll come 2019, January and February, I'm going to be over at Hat City in Orange, and another couple places there. And I'm hoping also that someone will like me enough to put me on a European tour because I'd really like to go back to Europe. I have so much fun there. They know the history of black music, and they love it. There's a picture of me in one of the popular jazz clubs called here Nilsson's in downtown Oslo, Norway. And I'm right up there on the wall, big old picture between Dinah Washington and Howlin' Wolf to this day. And that was back in 1997 when I was there.
Well,
They love our music.
Let's see what we can do here. I always like to put challenges out to my listening audience, and most people know I got my hands in a lot of different things. And let's see what we can do. Maybe we could come up with some creative way to get some people to support a international tour.
I would love
and maybe we
that.
could put something together. So anybody who's listening and watching has got any interest in the international jazz tour, we'll make it look super dope. With full documentation, make it like a documentary, interviews, and prime support from any potential sponsors out there who want to fork up some cash and maybe get the Duchess Doris Spears to get on the road and get over to Norway and check out that picture. It'd be kind of cool to do a little selfie in front of your
that.
picture on the
Yes,
wall with this.
I would
So we'll
love
put that out there, and you can consider Trenton 365 as a supporter, and I'll help you out the best way that I can.
Can I just tell you one other tidbit?
Sure.
Last August, I was cleared for a nonprofit that I call Trenton Youth Reading and Repertory Club. And I haven't done any fundraisers or anything as of yet. I had an accident, broke my foot, I'm healing from that, and then there are a number of other things going on. But what I plan to do when I get all these bells and whistles together and they're in sync is use that to raise money for this nonprofit, because I'm very concerned about literacy among the young people in Trenton, and I think that it would be really good if they not only developed more of a passion for reading and looking in those windows that reading can expose, and also learn about the great plays.
So let's stick with the talking about the youth.
Sure.
So when we rebroadcast this, just make sure, folks, that you're listening and watching, that you check out the archive and get in touch. You can visit Doris's website, jazzduchessdorisspears.com, and also from there you can get in touch with her. You can buy some merch, which is really important. And you can also go to Trenton365.com. You can hear this archive, etc., and reach out to me, and I'll connect you if you're more comfortable with doing that, if you're driving or whatever. Don't get yourself into trouble there. But let's continue. We've got about 3 minutes left. Let's continue to talk about the literacy portion, because I always like to talk to successful musicians and artists and have them share a bit about where their support came from as a young person. But you've actually answered some of my questions about your concern for youth and reading and literacy and young people, and you've started a nonprofit. What would you like to say to the parents or the guardians of young people who those young people show an interest in art?
In art or in reading as art?
Anything, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Read to your children. Sit down with them and just read to them. Read them stories. Of course, read them age-appropriate things. And then as they grow, continue that so that it becomes an ingrained habit. I had great teachers. I always loved school, and I was a bookworm. And from that, I started learning how to write and, exploring the reading landscape to see what foreign authors were doing and comparing the stories that they wrote to the things that they offer us here in this country. And if it wasn't, reading is like, I can't even describe to you how important it is to me and how much it does for me. It's like, like some people like drugs. Okay, that's the jolt I get from a really, really good piece of writing, whether it's a novel or a play or a book or an essay or whatever it is. And for kids that don't get a chance to go anywhere, whose parents maybe can't afford it or whatever the limitations are, that they're confined in an area, reading will open windows into things that just whets your appetite for more. it does.
Yeah.
I don't know a better way to say it.
Well, if it's not coming across in your voice, the folks who see it on television will definitely see it's coming across in your face and your eyes. Well, Duchess Doris Spears, I can't wait to see you perform again live on Thursday at the Mill Hill Park for the Lebedamp Trenton Summer Concert Series. But more importantly, I'm glad to be in your presence again.
Oh, thank you so much, Doc.
You're so welcome.
Much.
Yep, and consider
I hope
you have
we
my
can do
support.
this again.
Oh, we will, for
Okay.
sure. You've been listening and watching the Trenton 365 show, heard from 8 to 9 p.m. approximately here over WIMG 1300. You can please stay tuned in the second segment of the program. We've got author Dena Billups, who's going to be on, Dena McMilon-Billups. She's going to be talking about her latest book that she's putting out. You've been listening and watching the Trenton 365 show, and we'll be back after a short break.
Music you can feel down in your soul. 1300 WIMG gives you music for the soul.
Welcome back to the Trenton 365 show, heard Thursdays from approximately 8 to 9 p.m. You can send me an email, trenton365show@gmail.com. You can follow me on pretty much all the social media platforms on Facebook, Trenton 365 Show. You can also post your events to the Trenton 365 community calendar, and anyone can post anything there if you're within driving distance one day of Trenton. We accept all those different events, etc. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter as well at Trenton 365. So in the studio with me, I've got Dena McMilon-Billups. Now this is an interesting little segment we're going to have here. Now Dena we went to the same high school together with her husband, who is my cousin, and I hung out with her older brother. So we've got this whole little Ewing Blue Devils kind of thing happening right here. And I hear you over there, Dena. Keep your mouth shut over there, Ewing High. So this has got a different dynamic to it. But Dena is not on the show because she's a relative. She's on the show because she's doing some amazing stuff. And Truth Management is the company that she co-owns with her husband Jason. Jefferson, just give a shout out from the corner over there. Just yell.
How you doing, everyone?
There we go. So husband Jason is here supporting as well. So a big shout out to the Howard, Tucker, Billups family. We're all very supportive of each other and so forth. So anyway, I want to talk to you, Dena. Welcome to the program.
I'm excited to be here.
Awesome.
I'm excited.
For those of you who get a chance to see the television portion, she looks fabulous. Her hair is awesome. Her gear is dynamite. And this necklace that you have on is absolutely amazing.
Thank
Can
you
just I'll try to describe it, but then I want you to tell us who the artist is. So it looks like it's wire.
Yes.
But it's a thick wire, and it's silver, and it's got some amazing, looks like gemstones all woven in it, and it looks like it could be a sort of a shape of a heart, but also a circle, but it's yellow and goldish with some brown, and that is banging.
It reminds me of a sunflower, and everybody who knows me knows I love sunflowers, but the artist is unknown. I know she's from Willingboro, and I'd like to find her again. I found her at a shop, in like one of those vending shops or a marketplace, and so I can't find her. But yeah, she did an amazing job. I want to take the credit because I'm an artist, but I can't.
Well, I'll tell you, we're going to get a picture of that, and we're going to find out who that artist is, because that is an amazing necklace, and it's working extremely well for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is pretty awesome.
Thank you.
So Dena, I gave a little bit of background about who you are. Why don't you do it as just a guest and share a little bit about who you are?
Okay. Well, we're relatives now, right? So I want to say thank you for having me on the show.
My pleasure.
I'm excited to be talking to your audience about Naked. Naked is a book that I recently wrote. I like to consider myself, I hate to put labels on who I am, but I like to consider myself as a writer, artist. I wear many hats. I have different roles. I'm a mother of a 27-year-old and a parent of a 2-year-old at home as well, a little boy, and I'm a wife. So that's some of the roles I play, and I'm also been in this field of working with women and children for probably 20 years. And so in working with women and children, I just saw the need. Need for, when I think about women, one of the things I always say is, I am her and she is me. And so that is kind of what inspired me to be at this point with this book called Naked. I'm also an artist, so I kind of designed the book cover.
Folks, I want you to look at this, because this is pretty interesting as well. So make sure, yeah, you guys can see that pretty good. Awesome. All right, and we're going to talk about how everyone can get that book.
Sure.
So we're going to get into that in just a moment. So I want to tie some things together. So the idea, and not pigeonholing you or saying that you're, just one particular thing. Your work with women and children, is that what inspired you to write Naked?
Yes. I've worked with teen moms I started out working with teen moms at a very early age. I used to run a program called MELD, actually in Trenton, out of the Urban League. It was an Urban League back then. And had a strong community sense in Trenton during that time, and I used to work out of the school-based youth program at Trenton High School. And so that was, I think, my start or my beginning to see that there was a need. And also, I was a teen mom myself. I became a teen mom when I was 19. And so as I professionally developed, I started working with Department of Children and Family. I worked there for 11 years. I'm a trainer. I still do consulting work for Stockton and under my business, which is Art of Training and Development. And so I primarily, service the population that works with families, works with children, works with women. And so one of the things that inspired me, or I want to say is my creative inspiration, is that when we're working with people, a lot of times engagement is the key. And a lot of times if you can't engage someone, they really can't understand their true self. So when I talk about stripping to the core, I'm talking about getting to who you really are at the core of who you are, who God created you to be. And so there's different dimensions of who we are. We have our physical self, our spiritual self, and our physical self, who our biological parents were, our environment. All these things impact who we are. So stripping to the core is like, kind of taking off the layers and the labels of who we are, and finding out the essence of who we truly are and our gift and who we are.
Oftentimes when I have authors on, they talk about their own personal life experience and seeing that there was a need for the information that they had to present. Is that the same for you?
Yes. I think my greatest need is, one, being a woman myself, and finding out that there were some commonalities whenever I talk to different women. And also, I don't like to call myself a life coach, but I'm a certified life coach. I like to think of myself as a life muse. And that's because, when you think about being a life coach, it's about fixing someone, and I don't think we can fix anybody. I think that we have to control the fixer in us and be able to pull out the things that are already in someone else. So when I've talked to different women, I think that they don't have an opportunity or platform to really just be themselves, or to really kind of, take off the things that influence them on a daily basis, or they have all these labels of being a mother or a wife or parent or just a daughter. So this book gives you an opportunity. It's like a 40-day meditation or a 40-day devotion where you have activities that it challenges you every day to do specific activities, maybe take a prayer walk, or maybe write some things down. You can journal in it, you can doodle in it. It's like your companion. It's a daily companion for 40 days. Hopefully that there'll be a transformation, because I think that I had to do my own stripping, my own over the years, kind of taking off the layers. I made a tremendous change by starting a business on my own and leaving my 9-to-5, becoming a consultant. So it was just really important that I wanted what other women wanted for themselves as well when I talked to them. So I have an opportunity to do that, and it's exciting. So I'm really excited about what I think this is here to do, what I think I birthed this to do.
Oh, I love that, too, that you birthed this to do. That's fantastic. Right. All right, good. So how about contact information where people can actually reach out to you and also purchase your book?
Okay. Everything is on my website, www.denabillupps.com, which is easy, www.dena, Dena, Billups, Billups.com. And on there, you can pre-order the book, which will be distributed on August 7th. You can also see some of my services that I offer, workshops, coaching, and training, and so forth.
Awesome. Author Dena McMilon-Billups is in the studio with me in the second segment. We're going to be back after a short break. You're listening and watching the Trenton 365 show. How do you feel?
Need a truck to move? Let Justin's Rental of Selman's BP save the day. Justin's has the right trucks for all commercial and residential moves. Justin's has the moving supplies and boxes available. Justin's Rental at Selman's BP has everything you need for your move at affordable prices, featuring the best in pickup trucks, 10 and 15-foot box trucks, and vans. Justin's Rental at Selman's BP is located at 2596 South Broad Street, across from the McDonald's in Hamilton. For your rental truck needs, call 609-888-3327. That's 609-888-3327. Justin's Rental at Selman's BP. If you are moving, we have the trucks to meet your moving needs.
To the Trenton 365 show. I've got author Dena McMilon-Billups, who is in the studio. And yeah, before anybody says anything, we're related through marriage. My cousin Jason Billups married this lovely young lady. We're all from Ewing Township, but yeah, so she's got a new book that's going to be coming out. And you can go to her website, Dena, Dena Billups, BILLUPS.com. There you can pre-order the book, but you can also check out some of the other services that she offers as not a life coach, because she doesn't like that terminology. She says life muse, M-U-S-E. For those of you who are artists, you know what that means. And she's got a lot of different background and experience working with women specifically, and with children and with families. And she's very candid about her experience, and she's looking to bring that to others. And her book is called Naked, N-A-K-E-D, and it's an opportunity for women to, as she so eloquently put, strip down to the core and to build back up. And the book is going to be a combination of things. Not only is it going to be a book of just reading, but there's also some meditation, some devotionals, etc. But I encourage you to go to the website, Dena, D-E-N-A, Billups, just like it sounds, .com, and there you can get all the information. Now, I kind of nudged Dena a little bit, so she's actually going to read a little bit of her book. So, Dena, are you ready to read some of it?
I am. So this is one of the inserts from the book. It's called Make Me Over. And a lot of times we have what I call, we put on our face, our makeup. And so this is called Make Me Over. Make me over, I can't see me. Make me over, I can't be me. I look in the mirror and I'm horrified by me. Someone remove this makeup because I don't know me. Never mind, give me back my cover up because the smudges from my tears won't shut up. Where's my concealer because the wrinkles of pride keep showing up. Airbrush the lines of lust because every now and then I still get that rush. Make over these dark circles because my reputation is on the line. Color my cheekbones, my low self-esteem won't leave me alone. I keep changing my lip gloss, hoping that these negative words won't cost. So make me over, I can't be me. I look in the mirror, I'm horrified by me. This cosmetic regimen has taken over the beauty in me. Make me over. This foundation is all wrong, I can't see me. My God, please break me so I can see your image in me. I surrender me. Please transform this beauty in me. And so
your artistic skills came out in that one, because I haven't heard any of your writings.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about your art.
Sure. So I've always had a love for art. I would paint. I do three-dimensional work. Sometimes I do pastels, and I also love poetry. And so all of the creative things, this book gave me an opportunity to be able to express and be able to engage the audience, not in a traditional way. So when I think about the book Naked, I really wanted people to have a book that they could have fun with. That not only could they just read it, but maybe there was something in there, and even in the poetry, that would remind them of where they are. You know, sometimes we hide behind, makeup is an analogy of what we hide behind. So I kind of wanted to have a voice through art and through poetry and through, I in the beginning of the book, I talk about doodle, your thoughts. I talk about art. The name of my company is R.E.A.C.H, and it's Activate Right Thinking, and it's an acronym. It's Art of Training and Development, and I talk about truth. And so I use a lot of biblical principles in addition. So for every day, there's a biblical principle because I am a Christian, and I do my work is guided by. But it's for everyone. So wherever you are, I tell people that this book will meet you where you are in your walk, in your spiritual walk. And so I've used all of the things that I have had help me from being unstuck, if you will. And so I want this to be a tool. I want it to be a tool for my clients that I work with. I want it to be a tool for sometimes my workshops. And hopefully I'm doing some upcoming retreats that are coming up in September through my church, Faith Covenant Fellowship Ministries, where my pastors are Pastor William and Joanne Barnett. I'm also doing a retreat in Buffalo, New York, with a schoolmate of ours, Nikki. And so I'm excited about like the opportunities that this may have, because I think when people leave, they don't have something tangible. And this will give us something tangible to take home with and play around with, some thought-provoking, reflective practices. That's what I like to think. Think of this.
So you said a mouthful there, and I'm trying to pull some different things out of there. But
Okay.
but I'm just going to encourage the folks who are listening and watching to make sure that you check out the archives of this and re-listen to the interview, because there's going to be a lot into it. So on your website, DenaBillups.com, you said that you can pre-order the book.
Yes.
With an early August delivery.
Yes.
Okay. And you can also, on the website, reach out to you as far as consulting and some of the other services that you offer as well?
Yes, you can reach out to me for coaching. Actually, you can book online. You can do everything online. I do offer a 15-minute free consultation to new clients. My sessions are an hour. We start off with a 6-week session. So that's available. You can also, if you need a training, I train substance abuse, sex abuse. I've trained on human trafficking, all of these things that are social ills that impact women and children, actually impact families. So people are able to, book a workshop, and I kind of design workshops to fit the needs of an organization, or I've worked with some nonprofit organizations, like YMF Inc. I work with I still contract with the state of New Jersey, and so those are the kinds of things that I still hold true to in terms of helping and serving families.
So can you talk a bit about the process of a book? I think that most people don't understand the amount of time goes into writing a book. Most of us can jot down our opinions and our thoughts and maybe even put together enough for a book.
Right.
But that's not how the industry or the craft works. It's not a bunch of Dena's thoughts printed on paper and now you're selling it.
Right.
So can you just talk about that process a bit?
Well, the process is a journey, and I don't take it lightly. It is a commitment, and I when I hear people say, "Oh, I wrote a book," and I applaud people who can do it in 30 days, or but this process has taken me 10 years, and I say it's taken me 10 years because it's evolved. Even the title, I kind of felt I don't know if I should I shouldn't name the book Naked. Is naked too risky? Serving the church community, but one of the things I wanted is authentic talk, and I wanted people to have real conversations. So that's why, stripping to the core, a lot of times we hide behind things. So that's what needing less to be more. And so I tooled a lot. I did a lot of praying. I did a lot of meditation myself. I think I went through the 40-day process. I think I stripped to the core myself. So it was painful, and it felt like a birthing process. So I still feel like sometimes I'm experiencing the aftermath of the labor pains, but I have to say, like, my umbilical cord to this process has been a lot of prayer and a lot of being connected to positive people, the support of my husband. I would not be able to have been able to do this book without my husband, my mother, who helps me with our 2-year-old, my daughter, Dena, who is a creative genius herself, who can say, Mom, I think my generation is going to like this, or I think the young people would like that, or I can't wait to share it with my friends. So having the opinion of supportive people, I couldn't do it without like people who support and love and my friends and family.
That's fantastic, and I'm so glad you said that. Oftentimes when people have success, it's easy to think, I did this, or it was only one person, or I just got my foot in the door and I did this myself. There's always so many people around, even as simple as forgetting the people who deliver your mail.
Right.
Those kinds of things, or provide food for you to eat when you go to the grocery store. All that, we are all interconnected.
Right.
And I think from a Christian perspective, the more that we can take those blinders off and say, we're all in this together. I mean, if we're all made in the image of God, then we should all be treating each other as if we're all in the image of God. And I think the more we can do that, and the more we can have resources like your book that can specifically talk to somebody.
Right.
It may not talk to everybody, but if it can speak to just one person, I think that's how God often moves.
Yes.
And from the passion that you've shown tonight, I would assume, when the book comes out, I'm going to get it.
Good. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm sure that it's going to speak to a lot of people, and it's going to be a tool to help them get better. And I think that's what we need to think more about. It's like, hey, are we providing each other the proper tools?
Right.
And if we can do that, I think that we're gonna move in a much better place rapidly.
Yes, and I think that I hope that it breaks cycles. I think that's important. Growing up in the community, I know we grew up in Ewing, but I feel like we're cousins to Trenton community.
That's right.
And when you're cousins, you have your back of your Trenton community. And so I just always, my hope is that this is not just to say, oh, I have a book, but that I can really share with someone, and that it can break some cycles that we fear is one, and I talk about that in the book a lot, like, breaking the cycle of fear. I was afraid to write the book. Am I a writer? The questions you have in your head. No, but I have a message that I want to get out, and so whatever supports I need to get that message out, then that's what I'm going to do. And so that was important to me, and I think if we can change the way we think about ourselves, then we can really truly birth the gifts that God has given to us for other people, because it really is not about me, or it's about, like you said, it's about a community of people. It's about, being able to share my art, my poetry, to give a message for others so that people can be healed. We experience a lot of trauma today, and so I hope this is a tool that helps with healing and trauma.
Now, the book, I know this has really been women focused and women and family focused, and I'm all supportive of that. But is this a book that transcends that, and is this something that men can get into and extract some things from it as well?
Well, I think it's something that I designed the book for specifically for the needs of some of the women. Okay. But I've had a guy already, a husband of a wife. His name was Leighton, and he said, I'm going to read this book myself. Oh. And I was like, okay, because it gives you specific activities. And I think when you look at some of the biblical principles, that's for everybody.
Gotcha.
And I think you can do it along with your wife. And I think your wife would be very, very happy to have you would be happy when she reads this book and she's healed and delivered from some things. I think it would make a happy home. So I think it's good for the whole family.
Great.
Especially the husband and wife.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, good. So as we're finishing up, we got about 30 seconds or so before we need to go through the process of signing off. Some final things you'd like to share with some people?
I just want to share that if there is something that you're inspired to do, and there is something that you have a burning desire to do, the opportunity to activate right thinking, or is what I call art. There are opportunities and possibilities, and I think that you have to have the expectation that you're here for, and I don't want to sound cliche-ish, but you're here for a purpose, and that this stripping to the core is about finding your why and really needing less to be more. Some of the things we think we need, we really don't need. I think if we really simplify what's important, we really can have the opportunity to get closer to who we are created to be. And we all have a God conscience, and God will, speak to that need that we have. And so that's what I think we're all here to do, is birth out our gifts and become naked. And stripped to the core. And so that will be my final words for the audience.
That's awesome. Author and artist Dena McMilon-Billups. Website, Dena, Dena, Billups.com. There you can pre-order her book, Naked, which is coming out. We'll describe this as an inspirational, a devotional, but also a self-help book as well, with a specific focus on the women in the audience. Well, Dena, it was a pleasure to have you on. Will you come back?
I would love to come back.
Oh, fantastic.
This is awesome.
Awesome, great. Dena McMilon-Billups, and shout out to cousin Jason, who's here as well. Truth Management, you can go to the website and check that out. But again, Dena McMilon-Billups, and the website is DenaBillups.com. You've been listening and watching the Trenton 365 show. We'll be back next week, and also want to encourage you to check out the Bridge the Vote Facebook page, where we're talking about all things related to the elections here in Trenton, New Jersey. And also check out Levitt Amp Summer Concert Series taking place in Trenton, New Jersey. I'm a part of that as well. Take care. Have a great night, folks. Thanks for listening.